How we doing out there, everybody? We are here in our seventh week, so we're about halfway through the term, and we're going to put a cap on our poetry unit this week. Our second analysis essay is due by Sunday night. So just like the first one you did with your fiction one, for this one, you want to make sure that you don't use outside resources. Okay. So the only thing you want to use is the poem that you're analyzing, and you could there's a menu of 4 poems that you could choose from in the assignment sheet attached to the link in our poetry unit folder. So you're just using your own insights and thoughts for that poem. So it shouldn't be evident that you're using external help for this. Okay, so just do the best you can. Make sure you're discussing poetical terms when you're giving your analysis. So things like, figurative language devices, metaphor, simile, personification, onomatopoeia, alliteration, hyperbole, things like that. You could talk about rhyme scheme, meter, conventions that fall along those lines. And if you're stuck on a poem or you don't know what there is to analyze, if you've selected your poem and you're like, oh, I just can't really think about 3 good things to talk about. Let me know, and I will be happy to help you guys do that. Okay. So just make sure you email me earlier or earliest as you can in the week. Okay. So you have to do 2 to 3 key literary concepts. Okay. I'd appreciate it if you guys did 3 rather than 2 to 3. It's fine if you do 2, but if you're looking at like 100 or as close as possible to 100% A on this, 3 is probably what you want to do. 3 literary concepts. Okay. So that's under the requirement section in the assignment rubric sheet. The poems are one by a Polish author who, as many Polish poets do, who are of a certain age, writing after World War II, writes about the ravages of World War II on society, European Polish culture, and the Polish people. Wisława Szymborska, I'm probably mispronouncing that. I actually went to Poland for a short little jaunt over the Christmas holidays. On Death Without Exaggeration by Szymborska. And if you want to do that one, I've provided you the link in the announcement this week to access the poem. If you choose to do My Son the Man by Sharon Olds, that is going to be in the additional poems link in our poetry module in our textbook. And then the other 2 that are on offer are When I Heard the Learned Astronomer by Walt Whitman. Any Breaking Bad fans out there might know that When I Heard the Learned Astronomer was a poem shared between Walter White and Gail Bedecker, Walter's assistant, working for Gus Fring. And I think it's when Hank Schrader reads that poem during a bathroom visit, he kind of cracks the code to identifying W.W. Walter White, Walt Whitman, and discovers that Walter is the kingpin, Heisenberg. Or you could do William Carlos Williams' The Red Wheelbarrow. Now, the William Carlos Williams one, The Red Wheelbarrow, is a very, very short poem. You might find that to be attractive because it's so short. It is a poem in the tradition of imagism, which is a 20th century literary movement in poetry that is just focused on images. Okay, so it kind of whittles away all the fluff and descriptive language that we would find in other poems. It's not flowery, it's not ornate, it's very direct and stripped down. So that's a double-edged sword. You might find that that's good in that it's less to read and less to analyze, but that's also the, potential pitfall for you. It's less to work with. So it might be kind of hard to generate a 2-page response essay on such a short poem, but if you want to do that one, I welcome you to do that. The Red Wheelbarrow. Okay. So one of those 4 poems, and again, if you are having trouble with any of them, reach out to me and I will give you a guiding push in the right direction. Okay. So just go ahead and look at the requirements and the rubric categories there. It's all there for you. So that assignment is due by Sunday night. And then by Friday night, 2 days before, is our discussion forum, kind of a comprehensive discussion on our poetry unit. Have you, after having read, just a really small sampling of poems at the end of the day, but has your opinion changed since our first opening discussion, Why is Poetry? When some of you all of you, let me know, your preconceived ideas of poetry, your past experiences of poetry, good or bad. Well, has that changed at all after having read the ones we've looked at, for the better or for the worse? Let us know there. Reference one of the poems that might have, made an impact on you one way or the other. And when you respond this time, I'm going to be looking for substantive responses for both posts. So remember, you have to do an original post. That's got to be 100 to 150 words. And then your follow-up post, in which you post to a peer, a classmate, also has to be 100 to 150 words. So you can't just do these one-line, pithy responses. It has to be an in-depth, thorough evaluation and response to one of your peer posts. If not, if you just give your own post and it meets all the criteria, the best you can do is an 85. Okay. But if you do both posts and they meet their word requirement and the substance content requirement, of course, you're likely to get 100 on that assignment. Okay. So again, 2 assignments this week, one due Sunday, the analysis essay on one of the 4 poems, and then the discussion forum due Friday, covering our poetry unit in general. Be very careful with the analysis essay, guys. I have a plagiarism checker. Typically, I check it if your paper registers like a 20% or higher. Sometimes it's a false read, or it's just like an overreaction on the part of the plagiarism checker. It shows me the sources that match your, flagged content, an online source, or maybe even sometimes another classmate's paper. Now, some of that can just be coincidence. You're discussing the same things, you're using the same quotes, and that's, of course, not a problem. But if things get to be eerily too similar on multiple instances, well, then it's an issue, okay? And if that happens, I have to address that with you, and your grade will probably not be as high as you would have hoped it would be. So, of course, I'm not out here to point fingers or give you a hard time. That's not why I'm here, okay? But rules are rules, parameters are parameters, and if it does seem that you are maybe working a little too closely with the classmate or lifting from their work, or you just lifted something from online, be aware that, there will be consequences to that, okay? So just avoid that from the outset and you'll be fine, okay? Anything else? So after this unit, we'll be halfway through the course. The next thing we're going to tackle is our novella, and novella is a short novel. We're going to be reading The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. And then after that, the only other thing we have is our play, The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. So the next thing that we do is going to be kind of a sustained effort in reading. Novellas are not novels, they're like short novels, so they're longer than a short story, but shorter than a conventional novel. Okay. The Metamorphosis, it might be 100 pages. I don't think it is even that. If you just bear with me for a moment here, I could look it up. Let me get my browser viewable for myself here. Okay. All right, just looking it up here. And I have a, oh, it's, yeah, I think the link that I have for you guys is like 27 pages, I think, but like double sided. Okay, which I guess is really what, 54 pages. All right. So yeah, and I will provide that link for you guys. So it's in multiple parts. I think there are upwards of 3 or 4 parts to this thing, but it's not even 100 pages, maybe a little over 50 at the end of the day. Okay. So I'll provide you the link to that next week, and we'll be, our next batch of assignments will be devoted to the Metamorphosis, and I'll debut that rather next week at the outset of that. Okay. So 2 assignments this week: analysis essay due by Sunday, and that is, that's working toward your 60% analysis grade. There are 3 of them: 20%, 20%, 20%. Okay. We did the fiction one, either on Yellow Wallpaper or Young Goodman Brown. This one on one of the poems, and then the one on the Metamorphosis, 60 points right there. And then 25 is going to be your final research paper on the importance of being earnest. So that is 85. And then the other 15% is, of course, your weekly classwork and homework. Okay. So that is our outlook here. That's what we got coming up within the next few weeks. And if you need any help, again, with those poems, I'm right here and happy to help you. Okay? Peace. Till next time.